Get the hell out of here, Craig. This is my show, and you're mine.
Yeah, baby. I'm in the house. Let's talk draft.
Craig, what's going on, man? It is a pleasure to have you.
I'm going to leave the show to you guys, but I will tell you, it feels good to be here on Thursday. Let's bring in Truth.
What's up, boys?
What's going on, Truth?
I'm just blessed to be here on your show.
It feels good to be back on Thursday, right?
Yeah, it feels good.
It feels good, right? It's Friday Eve, boys. We can deal with this.
Yeah. I can kind of get used to this. Maybe just let everybody else do the Monday show and not just hang out with you guys on Thursday.
It's an enjoyable time. I do have some things I got to tell you guys. Darren Waller. I was going to talk about Darren Waller. I just wish he got acquired by the Giants like a day after the show, because now the odds of us drafting a tight end have completely plummeted off the face of the earth. And we already have.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah, I'm with Truth on this. Think about this, Spartan. We needed a wide receiver. We got 5. If on the big board and we're playing by best player available, and you got one of these 8 tight ends, actually, there's only 3 guys that could go in the first round.
Yeah.
But, you know, if one of these 3 guys, I hate to tell you, he's going to take them, Spartan. If it's best person available.
You don't have to hate to take me. I'd like it. Yeah, if they go best player available, no doubt about it. I mean, heck, I'll just say it. If we knew that Michael Mayer was going to be Travis Kelce, if the Giants knew that, I'd say screw it. Take him at 25 if he's magically available. I love a big athletic tight end that's able to catch the ball, because by the way, Kelce does not, financially costs as much as a star wide receiver, but he does the exact same things a star receiver does.
Well, let's not talk tight ends. If are we talking free agency? We're going right into the draft.
We could do either or.
Let's touch on the free agency real quick, and then we'll do the draft. That's a good idea.
All right, it's your show. Take it over.
Let's go, buddy.
All right. Truth, we'll start with you, man. Tell me about Waller. Do you like the acquisition, or what are your thoughts?
No, well, I was on Twitter today. I understand why Shane did this. I like it. My biggest concern, of course, is injuries, and hopefully he can stay healthy, because if he does stay healthy, he is going to be a weapon that is equal to what Barkley gives us. If he can stay healthy, that's the key. Pick 100. You could get a good player there, but no guarantees. You know what you got with Waller. So I would – Yankees. That's a whole nother story.
and Truth, Craig, I mean, there is a difference here between being injury prone, or having a history of injuries and being damaged goods. Like if he had torn something serious, or he has a rod in his leg, we'd be looking at it like, okay, he's never going to really quite recover from this. The thing is, he does play good when he's healthy. The thing is that he's just had various injuries. And you wonder, is it him personally that's like a bag of light bones or something? Or is it a situation where he just, hit a streak of bad luck? And if it's the latter, then I'm always happy to take him on, because then, the potential return on this guy is pretty high. He's a very good tight end when healthy.
So I'll jump in on that one if you don't mind, Truth. I'll take that one. So like with Waller, you kind of have to look, actually, you got to peel back a couple of the layers, right? Because here's the thing. The Raiders have not been a great team for quite some time. So, you wonder why, because Carr's not there anymore, and you're kind of wondering, so Carr is a guy that can throw for 45, not even say he has thrown for 4,500 to 5,000 yards. He throws 30-plus touchdowns a year. They have, over the course of the 8-9 years that Carr's been there, and the handful that Waller's been there, they throw to the tight end. They throw the ball like Waller is getting hurt because he's active. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Shockey. Shockey got hurt a lot because Shockey was in every play, every down, blocking downfield, catching passes, yards after the catch. That is Waller. So he is taking more of a punishment. And then on the flip side, they've had a bottom defense for 10 years. So the offense is on the field, very quickly, right? I mean, and then they're off, right? Because they're trying to score points. And then the defense basically is on the field the whole game. And playing for what happens when you play from behind, you got to throw the ball. So I look at Waller as a top 5 tight end, Kelsey, Kittle, Andrews. And like Waller, to me, he's the 4th best tight end when he's healthy in the league. To your point, I think he's banged up because they rely on him to be the stud. Before Devontae Adams got there, they lacked a big time playmaker, and Waller was it. So there's a couple different things that go into why he's hurt. And today he did come out in the press and say he really does need to pay attention to staying healthy and diet and working out certain things because he does want to make it work here. You already know that his dad was a Giants fan growing up. So yeah. I think there's a little bit of a personal connection too.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, Spartan. It's like a new life for him. He's going to be very motivated this year. Like Craig said, he's going to a team that his dad loved. So he's going to come out here ready to play and do whatever he can to stay healthy.
And to be honest with you, I actually think it's going to make Belinger even better because now it's a little bit of a fire to kind of establish himself as a presence in the offense. And he's not going to have it completely open. I'm not saying that Belinger would have gone in with that attitude, but I do think, the competition only makes him better. So I am excited to have him here, no doubt.
Let's be clear. Waller's the starter. Belinger is going to be the secondary, and he'll be there when they have 2 set tight ends. And but Waller's the key. He's the key tight end on this team now.
That's what it looks like. But it doesn't mean there's not room for improvement with Belinger and like all these guys like Dax and AT. These guys make steps forward, right? It's not forever the amount of productivity they have. But yes, I mean, to an extent, you're probably not going to see Belinger get the ball too much behind the 50-yard line. I mean, that's just probably not.
Hey guys, I wouldn't put it out of the question that that they use them like Gronk and Hernandez, where one guy stretches the field and makes catches, and one guy's more of a Bellinger's more of the Gronk type, and Waller's more of the Hernandez type. So
Waller's not going to go to jail on us.
No, I don't mean that. You know what I mean? I'm saying that they could be using them in different type of sets. Yes, Bellinger is definitely a really, really good blocker. On the Giants guys on Monday, we talked about how the running game took a hit, with Jerry Foley from the Giant Insider, how the running game took a hit when Bellinger wasn't there.
Yeah, it did.
Saquon struggled for 3-4 weeks because, he wasn't getting that extra, second or that extra block. So I think Bellinger's going to do one. I think Darius just said in the chat is Bellinger's going to soak in a lot of stuff from Waller. They're different players. So Bellinger's never going to be a vertical threat like Waller.
No.
But I do think they can coexist. And if Waller doesn't work out, he's gone in a year and Bellinger takes over TE1 anyway.
Right.
Yep. I agree with you. So look, Craig, why don't we just jump right into the draft talk?
Okay.
Ends,
let me grab my notes because I actually have some. So I even told Spartan this before, Truth, that so I was so excited about one of the tight ends on this list. I didn't even pay attention to the fact that he wasn't even in the draft because the best tight end in college football isn't even in the draft this year. So let me grab my notes. They're just right here. I'm going to get them. I want you to know that I did a lot of homework for you guys.
Well, this is your thing. You love the tight ends.
I love the tight ends. The tight ends to me are the rock stars because the rocks, they're an extension of the offensive line. They're an extension of the wide receiver room. They have their own plays. I love tight ends. I love them all. As a kid, I love tight ends. I always, just tight ends to me are like the glue of the offense. I love
when you're dealing with a guy that's too big for cornerbacks to cover and too fast for linebackers to cover, like Kels, that's a very dangerous dynamic, right? Or Gronk. It's the same thing. And look how good those teams were with those guys. If you have one of the top tight ends in the NFL, your team is statistically very surprisingly good. Ertz,
Andrews,
right? Who?
Andrews, those 2
Andrews,
years.
exactly. Top
I mean, Lamar Jackson threw every pass he could to Jack. That's Andrews.
Yeah. So, like, look, I mean, people say that the value add of a tight end isn't there. That's BS. The average isn't really quite there. If you have an average tight end, it's not really doing anything for you. If you have a really good one, your team is going to be unstoppable on offense, quite frankly.
Well, look at the Giants when they had the two, we always think of tight ends. We always think of Pavaro and Shockey, right? We always think of those two. And the Giants were good teams offensively when they had those guys. So
and the other thing, truth is, those two last Super Bowls there, right? I mean, Shockey goes down. We think it's over. Ball steps in and we dominate.
Yeah, let's not forget Kevin Boss and a good friend of the show, Jake Ballard. Yeah, right. So
I haven't forgotten them, but they're not at the same level as.
No, they're not at the same level. No.
But Ballard had a similar season in 2011 that Boss did in 2007. So yeah, I mean, longevity of his career wasn't really there.
Yeah,
they both looked kind of identical, didn't they? A couple of brown eyes, blonde hair. They look just like.
You got a man crush on him?
Anyway, guys, let's be insightful now. Let's talk about the tight ends.
All right.
Appreciate that you did notes. Thank you for coming on. Why don't we talk about the first guy on the list? We got Dalton Kincaid out of Utah, and he was a San Diego guy before he transferred, right? So tell me about this dude's path.
So Dalton Kincaid is actually probably my favorite tight end that's coming out of college, into the draft. And it's probably not for the typical reason that you think. So one thing about this class that should go at least, as we're on the early stages of breaking them down is this class has a like they're all like the same size and the same height. Like almost every tight end is 6'4", 6'5", 250. Like they're all very big. They're all very
Washington 6'7".
Yeah, but I'm putting him as the outlier. Majority of these guys are roughly, they're in the past you had 6'3", 245-pound tight ends. Like these guys are very tall, very athletic. Dalton Kincaid's story is very unique because one, he's a former basketball player. We already know that two of the best tight ends ever to play the game, Antonio Gates and what do you call it from Kansas City? Gonzalez, yeah.
Yeah, Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez and Antonio Gates are arguably, I think they're both in the Hall of Fame. I'm pretty sure Gates made it. Some of the best tight ends to ever play. So Kincaid, 6'4", 246. He ran a 4.7 in the 40, a former basketball player at San Diego State in the shadow of Daniel Belinger. Knew he wasn't going to play. He transferred to Utah. Now, at Utah, that offensive system used Kincaid like a wide receiver. And I'm going to get into these splits in a second. His attributes, he can go deep, mid-range. He can take a screen or a flare pass to the house. He's not afraid to go up and get the ball. Great yak, yards after the catch. What I love about him is he will drop a shoulder on a defensive back. He is not like a thin, frail. When you think basketball, you kind of think more slight. Kincaid is definitely very well-rounded. Like I said, he's good enough to beat safeties. You would definitely need a bigger corner to cover him. His blocking is okay. It's not great. He's going to have to learn how to finish. That's his problem on the blocking side. But here's where it gets interesting on Kincaid, guys, is that in his sets for college, only 35% of his snaps are in line. 55% of his snaps are in the slot. 10% of his snaps are out wide. So he's a big receiver who can play inside, outside, or in line. He's kind of at Utah. The reason why he crushed it was they used him as basically a wide receiver. So I don't know if he'll struggle at the NFL at that level. But there's one thing I got to say before I hand this back to you is he has one major flaw. Do either one of you know what it is? Because it's not has nothing to do with his playing ability.
No.
Right. So Dalton Kincaid, who again at Utah, is already 23 years old.
Yeah, I saw that. He was born in 99 or something.
Yeah. So if it takes 2 years for this guy to bloom, like he's going to be 28 the time he gets his second contract. That could be a problem where he struggles to stick. He is to make it right away because, tight ends take 2-3 years to really start grooving. At 26 years old, that's old, right? I mean, that's old when these guys are graduating at 21. He's 2 years older than everyone. That could be a little bit of a deterrent for teams that don't want to draft a 23-year-old guy who's a little bit behind the eight ball from an age standpoint. And lastly, the second largest pair of hands in college football, one drop over 5 years.
That's good.
One drop over 5 years.
And throw on to that, he led the nation in receptions and yardage for the tight ends.
Wow.
So his stats this past year: 70 receptions, 900 yards, 890. I'm rounding to 900.
Right.
Eight touchdowns. His comp is Zach Ertz. I have him at a round 2 grade. I don't know if he's definitely can be a late round 1, but I could see him going off the board in the first 10 picks of the second round without a doubt.
I agree with that. I always say it all depends what happens in the first half of the first round, but here's a guy who go late first or, like you said, Craig, top 10 in the second round. Yep.
He right now, again, to me, he's the best tight end right now in the draft because as I've alluded to before, Brock, what do you call it? Brock Bowers from Georgia is not coming out early. He is the best tight end in college football, but draft potential, I think Dalton Kincaid's the best bang for your buck.
Okay. Over Michael Mayer, huh?
Well, I'll get into Mayer when you're ready.
He's next.
He's next. We are ready. Go.
Oh, all right.
I'm just going with that.
So Mike Mayer, Notre Dame, 6'4". Now, there is a little bit of discrepancy. Everything I read says he's 260, but he came to the combine at 250. So I don't know if he lost 10 pounds or not. He is by far cut from the Gronkowski mode. He is literally baby Gronk, like to a T. Running style, yards after the catch, block at the line of scrimmage. I do not think he's the best tight end in college football. And you know me, I'm a closet Notre Dame guy. I can't even put it into words. He's got like short strides. You know what I mean? He's a very compact player. He's only in line. You wouldn't split him out. You know what I mean? At the NFL level, I don't see him going in
traditional. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it. He catches everything you throw at him. He's hard to bring down. His lower body strength is absurd, right? Kind of just like Gronkowski is. At the college level, he's got a little wiggle, not much. He can get you maybe with a head fake on the safety. I just think like when you even watch him run his 40 time was a 4.74. He's off the line of scrimmage. He's just slow. Like he doesn't explode into a route. Like when you see Kelsey or Kittle get off the line, like they're gone. Mayer's just a little bit more like he doesn't have that quick twitch, I would say. Is he an amazing athlete? Hands down. Is he the second best tight end in college football? Yes, he is. I just think that the NFL level, I think he's going to struggle a little bit for being nasty. I don't see him being let's see, his stats were this year 67 receptions, 800 yards, 9 TDs. And in 3 years at Notre Dame, he had 2,100 yards and 16 TDs. It's insane. The guy produces. I just think that he's not twitchy enough for the NFL.
Ooh. Well, I might throw a wrench in this one, but I think it depends on what teams fall in love with him. I think Kincaid or him could be the first one off the board at tight end position. It's debatable. So, no prospect here is perfect. No no one's perfect. So they have their faults, like Craig said. But it's going to be interesting to see, when teams are picking, I would say 20th to the back end, and then the first 10 picks in the second round, what they want, what they look for, and these tight ends will be there for them.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want anybody to think that I don't like him. I do like him. The more I watch tape on him, Spartan, is he's just not explosive. He has this very short stride, and he's very compact, and he's very muscular. He just reminds me of Gronkowski.
Well, that wouldn't be too problematic.
No, but Gronkowski's also what, 6'7", and he played with Brady.
He was 6'8". He was a big dude. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's cut from that Gronkowski mode where he's not going to go down easy. He's a ball of fire. You know what I mean? My comp on him is either Gronkowski or Mark Andrews from Baltimore. I just, because Mark Andrews is more of a compact type of guy. My biggest thing is that twitchiness at the NFL level just doesn't seem to be there. He's not going to get his face. What's that?
What round do you think he goes in?
He'll be, if again, Michael nailed it. If he's literally in the same exact boat as Kincaid. If you find someone that loves his power and his inline blocking ability, like he could go probably between pick 25 and 32.
I'll make you $20. I'll make you $20 bet, Craig, and and it could be something on the draft show that we talk about during the night. I bet you $20. He gets picked on day one. Are you willing to make that bet?
No, because I think
it's the 25 to 32 range. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like I think listen, the guy that picks him between 25 and 32 loves him. Absolutely loves him, and I think they're looking past his lack of twitchiness. And or he goes, in the first 5.
What about 28? If he gets picked ahead of 29 or lower, we'll make the $20 bet there. That's what the spread is. Shake on it. All right. 28, 1 through 28, I win. If it's after 28, you win. Deal?
Boy, Spartan, you really hosed them.
Thank you, Truth. That's right. Me and Truth are colluding. That's what we're doing. We bugged every room. We're gonna take the $20 and go to Whataburger.
Truth, like, have you watched him at all play? Like, are you enamored with his game?
No, well, I did watch film on him, and things that you pointed out, were very good on your part. I do remember noticing his penguin-like running ability, show little strides. But I didn't think about it. But that's a good point you make. I just think it all depends on what team's looking. Like I said, from 20 to pick 40, and that 20 range right there, a team could be in love with him, like you said.
Yeah,
Mark Andrews, that's not bad. Yeah, if you think he's Mark Andrews, that's an All-Pro. Kronk, that's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
it all depends what they see, and if someone visualizes this kid in their offense, and they think he's a day one starter, plug and play.
Listen,
some guys can go early, some guys can go late.
He is no doubt a day one starter. I'm just saying he's not Kelsey. He's not Kittle. He's just not that guy.
Tell you what, though, Kettle and Kelsey. I mean, you're probably right. You're 95% chance of being right, but
he's probably a better blocker than them.
What's that?
He might be a better blocker than them.
Kelsey was a third round pick, and then Kittle was a 5th round pick, right? So I mean, you have to look at it like I think tight ends are tough to evaluate actually sometimes.
Yep, that's why I don't see him like he has the potential of going round 1. You know what I mean? Because he's beaten up on a lot of dudes.
Yeah,
2,100 yards. Like,
but even the best tight ends don't get taken towards the end of the first round. I mean, the only one I can think of recently is what the guy who went to Atlanta a couple years ago. I'm going to blank on his name.
He went early, yeah.
Yeah, and then Hawkinson to the Lions, which was not. I mean, He's a good
He was
player.
11.
Yeah,
Hawkinson was 11th,
Right.
11th pick.
Yeah, I mean, Pitts turned out to be as advertised, right? But Pitts was just a super twitchy, athletic kid. Like like Mayer is 21 years old. He's got a lot of growing to do and a lot of room to change his game. That's why I think people would they may take Mayer over Kincaid because of those extra 2 years.
Yep.
But Kincaid's just a better player.
And you can't coach that twitch, that ability to shift faster. So, I mean, it could definitely.
You know what it's like, Spartan? I think it just nullifies what makes him great in college because he's not twitchy. Like, you're not throwing to Mayer in space because he just doesn't move vertically that quickly. You know what I mean? Yeah. Excuse me, horizontally. Sideline to sideline is not Mayer's.
Or just the ability to turn. Turning speed is key in the NFL. I mean, that's what makes an NFL player at any position great. I wish I had some of that.
You just got love handles, right?
Yeah, geez, Drew. Thanks for saying that out loud. No more insecurities here. All right. Now that Truth has hurt my feelings, how about Sam Laporta out of Iowa? And Truth,
so he's Laporta's a little bit of an underdog, because Iowa spits out tight ends like it's going out of style.
Yeah, they spat out what? They spat out in 1 year. They spat out 2, right? Then they
Noah Fant and Hawkinson in the same year.
Yeah.
So
they have a very classical offense, right? I mean, we go over Iowa players all the time, me and Truth here, and it's like it's always the same thing. It's like they got fullbacks still. They got hard-nosed defensive ends. Like they run a very old school offense, and they do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
And I kind of think like guy like Laporta with the Giants could be because he's got more of a round 4 grade on him, but we're familiar with, of course, Dane Belton. We interviewed him, so there's a little connection between the Giants and Iowa, right? Laporta is interesting, because he's the shortest one, 6'3", 245, but he's fast. I mean, he ran a 4.59. I mean, he hauls ass for 245 pounds. And like he has a whole bunch of receiving records out of Iowa. And I wrote this stat down because I thought you guys may find this super interesting. So over the 2 years that Laporta was a starter, he has the most missed tackles, on defenders, right? 30 missed tackles on Laporta. And I can't quite figure out why, because he's not overly twitchy. He's not a big yards after the catch guy. But for whatever reason, I don't know if maybe it's patience with the ball, you know what I mean? Or maybe it's that he just is a little bit slippery. He makes defenders miss. And in the days of analytics, there's somebody handing this to a head coach saying, this guy makes people miss. So
that's a great point, Craig. That's a great point. I
watched take the guy down. True. I mean, right? Even if you get an extra 3 or 4 yards, that's a lot of value add.
That's right.
So Laporta's a guy that's a 4th round grade for me. Believe it or not, you guys are going to cringe when I say this. I comped him at Evan Ingram. He's very good vertically, right? Like how he used to say, like Evan Ingram couldn't catch anything, that if he was going horizontal, he would jump and drop it. But vertically, he used to make those catches down the sideline, right? Because he's definitely a directional runner. He can win in zone. He's not good against man. Again, not a twitchy guy. He has a little bit of inconsistency. He has dropped some balls. But of course, there is also some crappy QB play at Iowa, and his blocking needs to improve. Now, if you're looking for a rainbow, 2nd all-time in receiving yards in Iowa history.
Receiving yards, so independent of the wide receiver.
Yep.
Granted, I have never heard of a wide receiver ever coming from that school.
So the guy can catch and run with the ball. I think he's a 4th round grade. Like I said, I comped him a little bit to Evan Ingram. Unsure hands at times. He's the 4.5. Did I even fastest Laporta of all the tight ends at the combine? He was the 3rd fastest. So He's fast and he can make guys miss. But like Ingram, he's got inconsistent hands.
And like you said, weak blocker.
And his blocking's like, okay, he's not great. So I comped him at a fourth round pick, and I kind of think his comp would be Evan Ingram.
What do you guys expect out of a tight end when it comes to blocking? I mean, I would suffice if they can hold on to their blocks as long as a guy like Sterling Shepard, they're willing to get down and dirty and make the blocks, right? But they don't, in my opinion, do they have to be Anthony Munoz of blocking? It would be nice, but, I don't know if that really is as key. So what are your expectations?
Yeah, Craig, I'll let you take that first.
I mean, again, like a guy like Kincaid comes in, I'm expecting him to catch 800 yards and 7 touchdowns, right? A guy like Mayer comes in, I'm expecting him to open up huge holes for Barkley, or whoever the running back is. I'm expecting the running game to get a boost. I'm expecting him that he's a 3-down player, and and he can really mash at the line of scrimmage. So I think my expectations are on the player. Like Ingram, I expected him to catch everything, and he dropped everything. You know what I mean? So
right, he was a receiver. Well, that was what we always said about him. He was a receiving tight end that couldn't actually receive. So I was like, well, what use is this? Like what? That he just looked like a receiving tight end. He wasn't actually a receiving tight end.
Darius asked me how many drops Laporta has, and I didn't write it down. Exactly how many. Just there was when I was pulling through the research, there was numerous reports on how inconsistent. But I will tell you, he had the second fastest time in the cone drill, and he was the third fastest in the 40. So again, he has speed, but like Evan Ingram, it's all straight line speed. So, he's a guy that I just, I'm not I like him. I don't love him.
That's fair enough. Right. Yep.
Why don't we move on to your last guy here, Darnell Washington out of Georgia. Now he's a tall guy and he's an athletic guy. Tell me about him.
So Darnell Washington is the guy's an absolute freak, right? But first, let's say this. As I mentioned before, the best tight end in college football was Brock Bowers out of Georgia. Okay, he's not out. Well, he's not coming out, early as a sophomore. He'll be out next year, and he will be a
first round
pick. And if not, literally like Kincaid, these guys, he will literally go in the first 5 picks of the second round, depending on how it shakes out. But the kid is an absolute stud. Well, guess who his backup is? And it's not even really his backup because they give him a lot of snaps, is Darnell Washington. So as amazing as he is, he's not even the best tight end on his own team, and the guy kicks ass. All right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing that people need to understand about Darnell Washington. He's 6'7", okay? He's 265 pounds, and he ran a 4.65 40. That's unheard of, dude. That's absolutely unheard of. Darnell Washington, okay, is so big, it's like having an offensive tackle playing tight end.
That's right. Absolutely. Yep.
I mean, he is so big, okay, freaky athletic. I mean, I'm sure, this guy could have been, the best center in pro basketball. He could be a absolutely stud tight end. It's going to really depend if he can learn to stay low. He's a little bit big. He's a little bit raw, right? Because he's not the number 1 tight end. But he's just so intriguing. I mean, DBs don't want to hit him. They shy away from hitting this guy. He has to be taken down by a linebacker.
Yeah.
Think about it. Imagine Andrew Thomas being a tight end. Oh, that's right. He was 2 years ago.
He got touchdown.
He had more touchdowns than Kenny Galladay, man.
Yep. So here's the thing of what I love about Washington. He's literally your 6th offensive lineman. If he can learn to stay low and block, you could have a power running game because it's not a tight end that you need to coach up. It's literally an offensive tackle. So he extends your line by a whole nother body. And like I said, and if you do get him the ball because he is fast, there's not a lot of guys that are going to want to hit him. You know, DBs don't want to hit him. You need to have a linebacker hit him. You know, and he literally gives you that extra tackle in the running game. His blocking will get better. He needs to work on staying low. He's so tall that he just usually manhandles dudes.
Yeah, I will take this one step further, and you can write this down. I think this kid, we haven't even seen his offensive prowess yet. I think he was stymied a little bit with Georgia. I think with a little bit of coaching and some development, as you said, he's a little raw. I think Washington in his second year or so can really start to shine offensively. He's already an NFL blocker. He's the best blocker, in my opinion, in the tight ends in the draft. He's already.
How do you expect him to go in Darnell Washington here?
I have him round 3.
Wow, I'm thinking round 2, but that's.
I only say that because I look at last year's draft class. It was stocked with tight ends, and all those guys fell, 3, 4, 5. Not because he doesn't deserve to be a second round pick. Right. I just don't think it falls that way. I think he's, as he goes, he's because of the size, his comp is Mercedes Lewis, which is the tight end for the Packers, but way more explosive. Okay. What's that?
No, I understand. I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Now here's what I will tell you that should be said. The guy is extremely humble. I mean, he is a great interview, and he's cerebral, and he is just so appreciative of the opportunities he has. He's nasty on the field. I've seen him tossing guys around, you know what I mean? Blocking guys for the backs, I really do like him, and giving him a round 3 grade is only because last year there were 10 stud tight ends and they all fell 3, 4, and 5. So I just don't know if he'll fall into that second round. He can be a second round grade. It's just how wonky the NFL draft are.
Yeah, we don't know what the first 50 picks are going to look like. You're right.
Right.
Craig, let me ask you a question, Craig. Would you take him at 89 if he falls to round 3 and is sitting there for the Giants? What would you do? Let's assume that they address the first 2 picks the way we think they're going to address it. Corner and wide receiver, or corner and offensive lineman, whatever.
I probably wouldn't.
Probably wouldn't. Okay.
Not because, again, it's got nothing to do with the player. It has to do with if you go with what's occurred with the Giants today and yesterday, they filled the wide receiver room, which makes me kind of believe that they're leaning defensive back corner in round 1.
That's what I'm saying.
And then maybe round 2 would be your center.
Could be.
And cornerback. I mean, Truth and I have been talking. Defensive backs in this draft are loaded. There's a lot of opportunities to take good guys there.
Yeah.
So I am sensing that the best players available are going to be the cornerbacks, just because of how plentiful it is.
Yeah. So the fan in me says if he's there in the 3rd round, take him. He's just so big, but I also know that realistically, there are 4 tight ends on the team. If I was going to take a tight end, it better be one of the top 3 guys. It better be, Kincaid or Mayer or one of these other guys. At that point in the 3rd round, we better be picking a wide receiver, a center, a guard.
If we can know this guy was going to turn into a legit, awesome tight end that becomes dominant for us, yeah, I'd say go for it. But I'll tell you what's not very valuable: a below average tight end, a guy that's kind of quasi starter, maybe. That adds absolutely nothing to the team. The guards you need there for depth and everything like that. But for a 3rd rounder, you better be sure as hell this guy, might be able to take the step forward and be that tight end. Real quick, don't you think having a tight end like that helps? I guess he's referring back to when we were talking about blocking tight ends. Quite honestly, I want Neal to help Neal. I don't really want to have to worry about having a tight end to help him. I'm not
Right.
saying that I wouldn't want a tight end that can't block, but I'm not thinking in those terms.
Yeah, and I think Neal will get better in year 2, just like Thomas did. These guys get better. They learn what they see. What people I don't think, if I could say this, guys, if it makes sense, it's going to be a little hard to phrase it, but I don't think people realize that when you're a rookie, you don't really make in-season adjustments. Where you see the adjustment is that when the player comes back his second year, he's trained the off season to do something differently. In his rookie year, he's going to do the best he can with the tools he has. You don't see a guy make a dramatic shift in the season on technique. Like, this is the technique that he has. He tries to perfect it a little bit, but that maturation process comes between year 1 and year 2 because the work he did in the offseason.
Yeah, because you get drafted. You have 5 months between then and going against an entire tier of talent that you've never been against before. And look, we have seen tackles do better than that the rookie year, so I do get concerns. But, Giants fans, you got to remember something about these. A lot of times these SEC linemen, they don't hit the ground day one in the NFL because some different dynamics of how those guys are blocking and the types of players that they're going against are bigger body. He can do a pretty good job against big guys, but athletic guys is going to take a little bit of time. We are getting way off point right here. We got to get back to the tight end.
I'm just throwing this in real quick about Darius Ripper about hang on, I think I threw up the wrong one. Was it this one?
No, that last point though. That last point, he said he got better. He did, but he still gave up like 7 sacks against the Browns.
Yep. Here's the thing about Glowinski that fans need to realize. Glowinski played with 3 different centers and 3 different tackles. You have to realize there's no continuity if he doesn't know who the center is and he doesn't know who the tackle is. So Glowinski got a bad rap, but basically I'm not giving him a pass, but he literally has, second and third string guards and second and third string centers. They all do something different. There's no continuity. So you got to give Glowinski a little bit of a break. There's just no communication when you're talking to the third string guy that literally has taken a handful of snaps.
He's an above average guard at best, which is good. That's what we want. But you put him in a situation like that where he's getting, moved around. There's constant confusion on the offensive line. It's going to look worse. Let's move on to Truth. We're on your guys now.
Okay.
Craig, stole one from you. I know you wanted Luke Shoemaker, man, but I really don't like Michigan as it is, so I want to get this over with as quickly as possible. I have to admit, he's a damn good tight end. He's a very steady tight end that has both the ability to block and catch. Do I think he's all world? No, but he is a very solid, productive tight end. Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah. Well, you just rounded it right there. He's the kind of guy.
We're done.
He's the kind of guy. Remember the Michigan offensive scheme? He was an inline blocker. A very good blocker, as a matter of fact. And he was looked upon on little butt hooks, little routes. Nothing major. He'll move the chains for you. But here's another guy who I think kind of reminds me of Belinger. I think he's going to be a little bit better as a pro. I think he's going to do better in the NFL. And if you want to be honest, here's a guy who's probably a good middle day free pick that would be kind of perfect for the New York Giants, I think.
And he can stretch the field. I mean, he's 6'6" and can stretch the field pretty good. So he's a pretty exciting player.
Shoemaker had the 5th best 40 at the combine.
Yeah,
ran a 4.63. Not bad for a big guy.
Oh, right. 4th best of tight ends. I thought you meant the 4th best. Period.
And he wasn't really utilized with Michigan like that. The vertical seam routes and big long. They didn't do that with him. If you look at his numbers.
Yeah. I just kept myself a list here because, of course, I couldn't have Bowers, and I was so disappointed. I just grabbed the stat on about
next year. We'll be right back here.
Yeah, 100%. So Shoemaker from Michigan ran a 4.63. That's the fastest 40 time at the combine.
Wow.
Yeah, they did a good job. A lot of these guys in the combine, the tight end position, they did a very good job.
And he replaced a solid one at Michigan too. I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but he was supposed to be he was the starter last year essentially, and then Shoemaker kind of took over his light.
Yeah, I can't remember who was a.
I can look it up.
I'm gonna have to look it up because he's going to Iowa now. Bell.
So you got Jack Kuntz, right?
Yeah, Zach. Here it is. Eric All. Okay. Yeah. Zach Kuntz out of Old Dominion. Listen, tell me about these guys. We start dealing with these small. This isn't even the smallest school that we're dealing with tonight. But tell me about him. I mean, how productive is he, and can he make that step forward at the NFL level?
Well, he played at a school that isn't known for prospects going to the NFL. Big boy, 6'7", 255, and he actually ran a 4.5 50, a 40, 4.57 to be exact. He had a vertical leap of 40 plus inches, and he actually made Craig Spartan and I talk about this about the freak list. Are you aware of the freak list by a guy named Bruce Feldman with prospects?
I've heard about it. Sure.
Yeah, well, he made the freak list, and I forget where he was. I think he was like 60 something on the freak list. So a very big tight end who has pretty good mobility. He should be a little bit of a better blocker for his size, and so that has to be worked on. But he had a good productive college career, and again, this is all late round day 3 picks that I think if the Giants are going to draft a tight end, it's going to be on day 3. I don't think it's going to be before that. So
let me ask you something. Why didn't he work out at Penn State? Because he transferred from Penn State to Old Dominion. I prefer to hear the story that he started at Old Dominion, then went to Penn State, but it doesn't mean his career's ruined. But what's the story?
I think it was a numbers game, talent-wise. He wasn't going to play. He wasn't going to play on Penn State. So he, like any kid, he went to go where he wanted to play. And could that be a knock on him? Is that a red flag? You don't think he's good enough to play in the NFL? There are a lot of guys who did transfer and went to smaller schools who've done well in the NFL, and there's some who haven't. So that just has to be the judgment of the team that's going to draft this kid, what they think of him. But
second fastest time at the combine.
Yeah, and that's
he's 6'8".
And just imagine seeing a kid like that run that quick,
Yeah, he might be the guy with the most upside, Ben. I mean, it's either him or Darnell Washington.
And don't forget, he had a broad jump of over almost 11 feet, so that tells you he's quick off the start. That's where they do that.
What round do you see him going? In truth,
I think 5, 6, something like that.
I take him. Screw it. I mean, like I said, you don't want an average tight end on the team. I don't really care for, but 5 or 6, we're getting a 6'8" guy that's running a fast 40.
Hey, we're happy with Belinger, weren't we? Weren't we happy? He was a 5th round pick.
He was a 5th round pick, but again, he's a little bit more of a stable kind of. She's going to go out for shorter passes and a steady blocker. Right?
I don't think he's getting drafted.
You don't think he'll get drafted?
I don't, because it reminds me of the same thing that happened to what's his name, Austin Allen last year. The guy had a great college career, and he was 6'8". And he just didn't, for whatever reason, just didn't take. So I think that
could be another bet right there. That could be another bet.
Yeah, this guy's 25 in his own right. I mean, he's gonna be 24. So
yeah, he is. He is older.
Yeah, he reclassed 3 times.
What about Payne Durham?
3 times.
We're dealing with a team here, right? Purdue. We've been talking about a few Purdue players, which is surprising.
Yeah,
but
Payne Durham,
a formidable team this past year.
Well, Payne Durham helped his stock when he had a very good Senior Bowl week. He actually got a touchdown catch in that game, and he showed a lot of mobility, good route running, and pretty decent speed. So I'm trying to remember what he did in the combine, and I didn't look up his numbers in the combine, so I can't give that. But another big kid, 6'6", 253. So he's got size. He's a I wouldn't say good blocker, but decent blocker, and he has good hands, and he's not a bad time. Another guy who's a late pick, 6th, 7th round. That's what I'm seeing. So nothing wrong with that. I would take that if he's available. If the Giants want to get a tight end.
It reminds me how much, I hate to say this, but how much last year's class was better.
Well, yeah. It was.
You know,
Craig, we
between
didn't even get to Bellinger, I don't think.
yeah, like you know, because there was you know McBride and Ferguson and they just and you know
McBride
Bellinger
out of Colorado State, right?
Yeah, he got hurt at Arizona, so I don't. He basically almost redshirted, but you know, just last year's class just had, I think, you know, a couple better, more studs. I think this.
Yeah.
I think after you know after a couple of these guys that Truth mentioned, these guys here, like I like Durham. I think he's a dark horse for a 5th or 6th, but a couple of these guys, especially the cat from ODU, like I don't see him getting drafted.
Okay, that's fair enough.
The guy from Purdue, though, you know, they don't throw to the tight end a ton, but he has a little bit of potential.
Yeah, he does. And again, you know, these guys, the class of 2023 isn't as deep as last year, but you know, it doesn't mean that you can't find a diamond in the rough in this year's draft. You know, just like the wide receiver.
Back if we did this show back in 2019, right? Earlier than that, but.
Yeah, I mean, the wide receiver class this year isn't as strong as years past, but
no,
I think there's some talent in day 3.
It does hurt with the receiver position because that's the Giants' biggest need, even with all these signings. Well, yeah. I have to think about that one for a second. Noah, all right. How about the next guy? We got a North Dakota State.
All right. Again, now I'm going with guys who I've seen articles about. Guys who be diamonds in the rough.
We're going off
the grid. We're going off.
Yeah, guys, we try to make this as informative as possible. There's just not that many tight ends. Bowers is rough.
Here's a kid who's a big body kid, 6'6", 260 plus. You know, he's not flashy. He's not going to have highlight reels, you know, on ESPN. But what he does do,
you know,
but what he does do, he catches the ball, short range passes. He moves the chains a little bit. You know, he could be a 7th round or undrafted UDFA guy that the Giants may pick up. And you know what you're going to get though, a kid who's going to play hard. You know, he's not flashy, but he plays hard. He blocks. He can block. You know, he's like a vanilla. If you want to look at him as a flavor of ice cream, he's vanilla. You know, but vanilla's not too bad. It tastes okay.
The vanilla guy from North Dakota State. Listen, if a guy's from North Dakota State. I almost said Villanova there because you're saying, you know, vanilla so many freaking times. I want to hear that he was balling out. It was actually to Craig's point last year when we were going over the quarterback from Liberty. Help me out with the name. I'm drawing a blank there too.
That was
Willis. And you had a good point. You're like, if you look at his stats, he is not flourishing at a small school. And with this guy, it's one of those things like, I better see some dominance.
Yeah, but
at a small level.
I got no props, by the way, for saying it. No props. The guy went in the 3rd or 4th round. Guy hasn't done it. I got no props. No props.
Yeah, I just gave you props.
And remember last year we had. Remember last year we had some guest on that said that we should take him at 5.
I was saying that we should take him at 5. I mean, it's not at 5. The 5th round, like in like the 3rd round. I thought it was a great idea.
Okay.
But, you know, we all do stupid things when we're younger.
But small quarterbacks don't make it in the NFL.
Very rarely. You know, you got Breeze who made it. You got Russell Wilson who made it. But that's
even Russell Wilson, 6'1".
Who is
Russell Wilson?
I don't think he's 6'1".
No, I thought he was 6'1".
I don't know. I don't think. But anyway, this kid here, like, you know, he's not going to have the stats because he can't control that. You know, he can't control the guy's going to throw the ball to him. That's not how their offense worked. You know, so again, I'm not saying this guy's going to be an all-pro. He's going to be taken in the first 2 rounds of the Giants. But here's a kid who could be a 7th to UDFA pick that could help and put on the practice squad. It could be a reliable player, like come up once in a while and fill in if there's injuries. There's nothing wrong with that. You got to have guys like that in your team.
Gotta have it. All right, how about our last guy here? We are really scavenging the earth for tight ends at this point. Albany. I do like hearing a little New York guy because, I mean, we don't have a lot of New York football players.
That's a lacrosse school.
Let me tell you something. This guy, you know, look, we know the competition. This is not the SEC. We understand that. But he had a pretty good year. He had 50 receptions, over 600 plus yards, 9 touchdowns. You know, he was a good player for that team. And again, just like the other guy, he's a seventh, maybe undrafted player who could come in and, surprise people. Look what Ballard did when he got picked by the Giants. He was not a drafted. He was an unsigned guy. And he made the best of any opportunity he got. He made the best of it. So, again, good player who could fill the roster, practice squad. That I think if he's there, the Giants should try to get him. Who they got right now on their practice squad? They got Miller, one tight end, right? But he's really a wide receiver.
Cager might be on the practice squad.
Cager.
He might be, yeah. He might be if no one picks him up. You're right.
Fair enough. No, I'm always happy with a decent take for the practice squad. And again, if we're dealing with the 7th round pick, no matter who the Giants get in round 7, shouldn't piss anybody off. I have seen people on Twitter get pissed off like a pick and they, like a 6th round pick. It's like, guys, what? Nothing was going to happen here, most likely.
Hey, listen. George Young, who obviously a Hall of Fame GM, he said that championship teams are built on day 3. So, the Giants have what now? Well, they still have 7 picks on day 3. So
championship teams are built on day 3 if you're the Baltimore Ravens, who have never missed a draft pick in franchise history. Truth, what was amazing about Truth, and this is what I always go back to, Craig, and to everybody listening is, so many of the guys, we generally come up with a few guys that are like the big head honcho guys, but Truth likes to add a couple guys who are under the radar. A lot of those guys ended up on the Ravens last year in the draft, right? They had that big 6'8" lineman and then a few other guys. And it's like, holy crap, I think Truth should be getting paid to be an advisor to the front office.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I want to read you the comp on Brock Bowers.
Okay.
Because it's really freaky, dude. Right? The only thing that's negative right now on Brock Bowers, the starting tight end, who also won the Mackey Award this year for the best tight end in college football. He's 6'4", 230, so he's a little bit light. But listen, he is an offensive weapon. Smooth routes, great in and out of break, great run after the catch ability. Most of his snaps are split out wide at 230. He can blow by safeties, right? So he's hauling ass, past these guys. He's great in motion. He can also line up at the H-back. He can run stretch running plays. Like they actually at Georgia, they actually let him run the ball like a running back. Like he will toast a big slow corner and a safety any day. He's great on short yardage. Great ball skills, and he's got this deceptive speed. He plays faster than he looks. He looks he almost looks like a linebacker. You know what I mean? You're like, this guy's going to be slow, and he reminds me of an old school player. I don't really know why, but he's a little light for the NFL, so I'm hoping this year he puts on 10 pounds.
Yeah, he will.
12 pounds. But his stats this year were 63 yards receiving, 945 yards. So he almost hit 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. He would, his comp is, if you remember Dallas Clark from the Colts, or literally, again, I'm not saying this because it's cliche, but he's got a lot of Kelsey in him, man.
I was just going to say that. You were describing Kelsey before.
Yeah, he's got a lot of Kelsey in him because he can horizontally, get between the linebackers in front of the safety, and he can move. So, and then they do shovel passes to him. Like he's got a good skill set. I almost feel like I should have done some homework on him in high school because he reminds me of a quarterback that converted the tight end. He's too agile for a tight end. That's how smooth he is.
It's like he ran the wishbone in high school.
Yeah. So best tight end in college football is not even in the draft. So
yeah, I want to make a quick point. I know I'm going to leapfrog a little bit here.
Okay.
From going back in free agency. You look what Joe Shane's doing, especially at the wide receiver position. He got 2 guys who can run, who were 4.3 runners with a lot of speed. So that tells me vertical. I think he wants to get more, spread the field, get more with his wide receivers. So is that something that he may do in the draft? Like which wide receiver has that speed that's going to get vertical? Is that what he's going to do? So
if there's
a big guy, will he get a big guy? I don't know. It's tough to tell what he's thinking.
If there's a wide receiver there in the second round, he's going to take him.
Well, there will be a couple of them. I can tell you right now. Well, I think they're going to be there, but
yeah, because I thought originally they would go Zay Flowers at 25, but now I looked at he's filled the room with every wide receiver he could find. He's got. I mean, it would be hard pressed not to go corner here.
Yeah, and it would suck because I do want a legit wide receiver one going to next year, but to really enable Daniel Jones to ball out. But I do think that we've added some pieces now where it'll alleviate that need a little bit more. But at the end of the day, the talent is just not there at the wide receiver position, most likely for pick 25. Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give my mock draft away, but I will say my first 2 picks, I have corner and wide receiver first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give names, but
No, we got to save that. We got to save that.
We'll save that. But that's what I got at the first 2 picks for the Giants.
Well, all right, guys, we have come to the end of the show. Craig, appreciate you being a guest on our show, but of course I am a guest on your platform. In fact, I'm logging in with your platform. So at the end of the day, I still bow down to you. Truth. He's on the show as always, my friend. Giants fans, tight ends may not get one, but there's some value adds in this draft, no doubt about it.
And Mike, yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there, not to steal any thunder from Nikki Six, but we also just laid some groundwork for you guys for your fantasy teams.
Yes.
That was a great show last night, by the way.
Yeah.
Was it last night? I forget.
Yeah. So I don't know if you watched. Yeah, it was Wednesday night with rush hours on Wednesday. And it is true. I did play college football against Rob. If you were watching the show, Rob was a wide receiver. I was a corner / strong safety, depending on the day. And he had great hands. So, I didn't know Rob was going to go law, but it's really neat to see someone from my little D3 school, make it to an NFL agent. So, kudos to Rob. I wish I was able to attend the show. I'd love to say hi to him, but
yeah,
it was kind of cool because I told Nikki, I'm like, he used to smoke me down the sidelines all the time or on a quick slant all the time, and then he was kind enough to say that I was a good player. So I don't know if I was a good player, but
it was the link. I just put the link in the chat.
You know what I also found interesting in your comments? You mentioned his hair. He had a mullet.
He rocked the mullet. Dude, he rocked the mullet, man. And staying on his side. He totally rocked the mullet. I was the guy that was too vain to rock a mullet or shave my head. Like those guys all shave their heads. They put lines in their head like Brian Bosworth, and they and they rock mullets. I'm just never rocking a mullet. I don't, it's not my thing.
Anything with Craig, always hair comes up. It doesn't matter.
Right. You would have rocked a mullet though. There we go. Anyway,
no,
guys.
I'm not a mullet guy, but appreciate you having me on every Thursday. People, make sure you tune in to the Rush Draft Show here with Spartan and Truth. And of course, make sure you watch the Rush Hour on Wednesdays at 7:00. I've announced that we are coming up with a new logo for the show, which is super exciting because it's so badass. I can't stand myself.
I can't wait to see it. He won't even let me see it.
No, I won't even let Spartan see it. So again, and Nikki's show will continue. You'll see Spartan there. He rotates in with now Damien.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah. So we're growing and doing stuff. Also, people, if I can plead, I need one favor. We still have the Nick Gates camp on March 31st, Friday night, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. and April 22nd, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. with Isaiah Hodgins. Please buy some tickets. Support these guys. Gates will be there, even though he's a commander now. He will fulfill his obligations. But, hey, man, make some memories with your kids. Go out there. Let them, hang with pros. You guys will get to meet them, too. There'll be plenty of giveaways, and it's going to be a ton of fun. One is in Manalapan. One is in Rumson. They're both, I'm pretty sure, at the high schools. and we need you guys' support. We're going to be out there. Me, Chris, and Nikki are going to be out there streaming live. So we hope you guys will engage and hang out. But listen, if you're a football coach or you have a youth football player in your family, grab some tickets. There's 3 or 4 different levels. Come on out. Hang out with us. Tell a friend. Tell your football coach. Make an announcement in town. Help pass on the word so we can help support these guys and do more cool stuff. So appreciate you having me on, guys. I just wanted to get that.
Let me say something real quick to Joe Clark. He had a little thing up there. I'm just going to say that, no, not that one. It's something else. Yeah, he's pretty close. He's pretty close with that.
Banks?
Yeah, I mean, I love that kid, Deontay Banks. Yeah. Him and Ringo, I love those two corners.
Giants fans, keep playing the guest game on Twitter. Bring it. Who do you think that Truth has got? Because trust me, whoever Truth has got, the Giants should probably do.
Okay.
So stay tuned, people. Thanks for having us.
Thank you all. Peace.